I'm calling this episode Wet Hair Day. Okay? This is going to be the name. I've called it. This is it. Beautiful.
So, I feel like an
Yes.
absolute train wreck. I feel like I'm failing at life. And
Okay.
we
Yeah.
need to talk about it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
The drowned rat look is not really the look that I typically go for.
Yeah.
And okay. So today was kind of like the last weekday of the break that I've kind of had. And I wanted to get all organized, all sorted for the year ahead. I wanted to, I had some planning scheduled in for this morning. I do planning every Friday morning. But there were these little pieces and I'm like, oh, I just haven't had enough time and space to like get these next pieces planned into the schedule, like watering my plants, cleaning my bathroom, little things like that. Like, when am I going to do that? And I want to have it in there on a regular basis so that I know what's coming, doing my accounting.
Yeah.
Things, all of those things that are kind of like, oh yeah, I'll get it done. And they just kind of find their way in. But now I'm at the end of the day, right? And, I was racing to get on to this call so we could record a podcast. And all of these thoughts were coming at me like, oh my gosh, you're a mindset coach and you suck at life right now. You suck. Like you didn't get done the things that you had put on your list today. Like these are all the thoughts that were coming to my head.
Yeah.
You didn't do the things that you said you were going to get done today, right? Like how pathetic is that? You spent time planning, blah, 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 and you didn't get it done. And, I have to own that, right? I have to own that and go, yeah, I didn't get it done. But this is where I think it's important to talk about this and have this conversation and show up as I am, show up as we are. I'm so glad you have wet hair too. But just to be real, right? And to talk through like what is the junk that goes on in our heads that can really get us stuck because especially being someone that helps people, I help other people with their mindset, right? And right now I am having a moment of like, oh my gosh, I am failing at life and having to work my way through that process, and so turning up and doing this regardless was important.
Yes. Yeah.
And hitting record where we are is important. And I just want to talk through like what the processes I've had to go through. And maybe you'll have questions and you'll have experiences too. But I've had to work my way through all of those thoughts that were coming at me, really trying to get me down, really trying to make me feel like I had failed at life, right?
Yeah.
And in reality,
by the way, I'm calling this episode Wet Hair Day. Okay? This is going to be the name. I've called it. This is it. It's Wet Hair Day. We're going to talk about the moments where we feel like we are failing in some way, somehow. We're just not ready, but we still show up. We come with the wet hair and we just come because we're committed and we're not giving up by any means. But we are, like you're saying, we're fighting through and we're confronting and we're facing these thoughts and we're bringing them to the light and we're talking about it. So keep going, crack on. Go on then.
I've never heard the little Colombian say crack on. You're so British. Who are you?
I know. This is what happens when you put a little Colombian that has lived in the UK and then has got some American history. You just embrace it.
Yeah, needs a little fruit salad. So thoughts. One thought. So I text you right about an hour ago going, do you reckon maybe we could do like 30 minutes later? Because I'm thinking I could get my hair dry, I could eat some dinner, I could finish cooking, yada, yada, yada. And you know, I put that out there, and then a few minutes later I text you again and said, no, you know what? I'll be ready at 6:30 anyway, just in case you didn't see the message. And I was a few minutes late because I was trying to at least make something happen. And I didn't even do well at that. But I put some earrings on and yeah, I tried to make some eyebrows. So that's as good as it gets today. But I'm going to have glorious hair tomorrow. It's going to be fabulous. I was thinking when I was like doing my hair and like, it's, you know, we jump on this call at 6:30 my time. And it's 6:25. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it. And then that opposing thought, I have to make it. And then the thought of, well, what if I make up a reasonable excuse why my hair might be wet? Like, so I can justify and make it a little bit cooler. Like, I live on the Gold Coast. I've just come back from the beach and I'm like, just went for an evening swim and that's why my hair's wet. But that's not the reason. The reason my hair is wet is because I'm just having a moment where I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. And that's what it comes down to. So, and I know people will be able to relate to this, right? Making the excuses when we're not ready to show up rather than just showing up as we are.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you would think we planned this, right? But we didn't. And I was exactly the same. So I'll tell you my little morning. I put my clock at 6 a.m. I was ready to go. I woke up, got out of bed, and I had been so tired because I've been cycling to work, to go to the city a lot of days. And I don't know why, but I feel like a granny lady and my legs they're just not functioning. Like they can't cope with it, right? So I'm waking up and I'm trying really hard to like move around. I had like my water bottle, my blanket, my Bible, my books, and my little cup of tea. And I was like, we can do this. We can absolutely do this. I'm reading my favorite book. I'm loving it. I'm having a great time. I finished my cup of tea. And then 2 minutes later, I'm completely asleep in the couch, like completely gone. And the next thing I hear is my husband going like, hey, we have to go. And I was just like, that was 45 minutes later. So I was just like there, and I was in the couch and I'm like thinking, there is no way I can, jump in the shower, get my hair dry, and get ready for this phone call. There was just no way. So my husband was just like, he came down and he was just like, did you just fall asleep in the couch? And I was just like, yeah. What's the time? Anyway, he helped me. He sorted himself out. That was nice. And then he sorted me out for breakfast as well, which was lovely. And then I was just like, I'm just gonna go to the phone call as I woke up. But I'm like, but I need to shower. So I was just like, I'm in a shower. And then I had the same thought you had, which is mental. Like, I promise people, we did not plan this, okay? This was not planned. But we're making this an episode, and it's been titled The Wet Hair Day. But yeah, so I'm having these thoughts about, right, I'm just gonna ask Tale, maybe we could meet 20 minutes later, right? Like literally. Or maybe I just say, let's just do 1 day a week. 2 days a week is just too much for me. Like I just can't cope. I literally had those thoughts. But then I had this actual reminder come up in my phone, a little kind of a scripture that I read sometimes every now and again in my phone app. It just comes up, and it said, be strong and courageous. And I was just like, and the whole thing talks about being brave and being, and going for it. And I just held on to that as I was in the shower, and I just kept saying that to myself. Come on, be strong and courageous, and just thinking about this little quote scripture that I love and that I know since since being a teenager. So I know it in Spanish, so I was saying in Spanish as well. Anyway, so I finished the shower, and then I was just like, I'm going for it. Like, I don't care. I'm going for it. I'm going to show up because I can do it. And who cares about the hair? And then it was so funny because I jumped on the call and you weren't there. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't have earrings. And I realized I had a wet patch in my jumper. Look, it's still there. And I was just like, I'm just gonna look like horrible. Like, all of this was a patch. Anyway, but the 2 minutes that you gave me allowed me to grab my earrings and just put my hair like this for a while, let it dry, and then put it back again and pretend like nothing's happened.
This is gold. I love it. I love it. So let's talk through how we have coached our way through that, because the default is to let all of those thoughts come. And the thing is, those little thoughts that hijack us, they come so fast. It's actually a skill that you have to learn in how to catch them, in how to actually be aware enough to catch those thoughts. And it's really confronting. It requires a huge amount of vulnerability. It requires honesty. Because you have to catch them. So to admit, for someone like me who's been a people pleaser for majority of my life, I'm a recovering people pleaser now. I've been in recovery for a long time. But for someone like me who was a people pleaser and all that junk that comes with it, the desire, that pull to make up an excuse, to make up a justification, to push things aside and go, hey, maybe we do Sunday. Hey, maybe we tried exactly the same things you were thinking, right? Catching those and then really overlaying, what are my values? Who am I? Who am I becoming? And when I think about who am I becoming? I'm becoming someone who does plan well and who does get things done, but someone who also has grace for themselves. I have grace for myself, right? And
totally. I was just gonna say, I've started my own business, just like you have, and this has been my first week working with a great team of me and myself. We're a great team. We try hard. But yesterday afternoon, I just had this sort of well done. You've done a great job. And I was just telling myself how good I was at doing these certain jobs that I actually thought they were quite good. But do you know the difference that it made? It made me feel like I'm moving forward. But this was so funny because it's like a monologue, right? Where I said to myself, that was good. Now, that was a good one. You did well there, darling. And I just talked to my Colombian little self in an English accent, and it just makes me feel cool. So but I feel like it's just and my husband was laughing at me because he's like, what are you saying? I'm like, I'm just encouraging the team.
I love it. Yeah.
Because I'm used to leading, the last job I had, I was leading a team of around 40 people, and encouragement was key, for the day, and you can forget that when it's just you. But it is still important to encourage ourselves. Again, I will be quoting the Bible every now and again, but there is other scripture that says, encourage yourself in the Lord. And the world out there will ask us to seek encouragement from other people and seek appreciation and seek acceptance from other people. But reality is that sometimes nobody's really looking. Sometimes people don't notice. And I feel like a lot of the thoughts come because we allow them, and they start in our own mind. So if we don't take ownership in our own mind, if we don't take those thoughts, kind of like prisoners, and be like, stop it right there, don't move, don't say that, then they can just grow and grow and grow, and then become what we believe, which I believe is the dangerous part.
Yeah, 100%. There's actually, we'll have to do a podcast on it, but there is a picture for the mind that I have to show you and the people who are listening, because when you have this picture, it changes everything. Yeah. Because you can you get an understanding, a frame of reference for where these things are happening in your mind, right?
Wow.
And so, yeah, we'll do it. We'll have to do a podcast on that because it's really powerful. But that piece that you said around, we so often look for encouragement from externally.
Yeah.
We absolutely cannot move forward where we're moving to, like, in the world. It's that place of authenticity. It's that inner world that has that we're in total control of, and we have to manage that. And we, just like you said, we have to encourage ourselves, because if we're looking for it externally, we're not gonna get it. We're just not going to get it. So you have your cheerleader team, and yourself, and that's it. Really.
Yeah. Encourage your team. That's the takeaway today. When it is just you in the house cleaning or doing whatever it is you're doing, just encourage the team. Encourage you. You're doing a great job. And also, I heard somebody said the other day in a podcast that we are becoming a society that is almost addicted to, like, the likes culture and the affirmation,
external validation,
and so much so that we can start to make our decisions based on whether people like something we did or not. And I think this is very dangerous, because the reality is, sometimes I can be like so inspired by somebody, but I didn't like it, or I didn't comment, or I didn't say how great they were doing. That doesn't mean I'm not appreciating that they're showing up and they're doing great things. But if they are being discouraged just because I didn't like or comment or share, I feel like that is a little bit of a dangerous zone. And because we are content creators, because we are talking about, helpful things and practical advice, I think a key one is, don't make any decisions based on a like, a comment, or the lack of them. Because they are just, like, honestly, not everybody has the time. I feel like the platforms we use, they are just a system, and we have to remind ourselves of that. But we are people, and people needs encouragement, and it needs to come from a safe place. And sometimes, if there is nobody else around to give it, we just own it, and we just appreciate the joys of life, like we say at the end of every podcast. Appreciate every moment. We just stop and pause, and cultivate that gratitude in our hearts, and and move forward, and then we realize, yes, back to that place of rest that we love to talk about.
Yeah, so powerful. The other side of what you were just talking about, like how you were realizing that you see these inspirational posts, but you don't like or comment. The amount of people I have come across, like just friends, because I've been putting stuff out for about a year, don't have a huge amount of likes and comments. But what's really interesting is when I've connected with people, every single one of them, if I haven't spoken to them for a while, they're like, I've seen your videos, you pop up, I love seeing them. I don't check them that often, but I've never once seen their names on there, like, and it's just like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was showing up in your feed. But there's been a
Yeah.
substantial amount of people that have made that comment to me to give me that. And
Mm-hmm.
it is external reassurance. I was moving forward anyway, right? My mindset was, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this anyway. But hearing those pieces just reinforces that idea that we already carry. Let's just show up anyway and let's
Mm-hmm.
keep going, because
Yeah.
there is something resonating at the core of every one of us, right? That is,
Yeah.
we're created, we're designed to bring it to life. And if we're not being authentically ourselves and showing up and trying things, whether they work or not,
Mm-hmm.
you have to, you're never going to know, you're never going to grow and become the fullest version of yourself unless you're having a go. And that looks scary. It looks like a fumble. It looks like having a day where you feel like you're failing at life and you're showing up to a video podcast looking like a drowned rat. And you've decided that I'm not going to lie about where I'm at. I did
Yeah.
not just go for a swim at the beach. I didn't. I didn't. I was cooking dinner and trying to get that done and weekend food prepped, and because we've got a few
Yeah.
moving pieces, and it's like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's okay.
Let's talk about some practical ways that, we have developed and we can share with our audience about how to really arrest these thoughts, how to confront them. I think to realize they're there is a big deal, but because these are quick moments, like you say, they just come at you. You're not expecting it. Like you're like cooking this rice, and they're like, "Oh, like where did this thought came from?" I'm just minding my business, cooking my rice, and here we go. Like we've just going on this rabbit trail of fighting against who am I and I'm not. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
these battles, they just come whenever you are
Yeah.
less expecting it. And I feel like, I would say one practical thing I do is just pause, have a little breathe moment, and no, like bring it up to the light. I think is they just keep coming, so you just have to kind of like stop, and really say like acknowledge what the sentence is, and then maybe go back to the little root, because sometimes they are rooted in some sort of fear or worry, or like you're saying, people pleasing, some of the weaknesses that perhaps our personality have. And I don't think it's like, I see you and I know that you love people and you love to be excellent, but sometimes those things, they can turn into a weakness so quickly, don't they? And then you just become a people pleaser. In my case, I am a perfectionist. I like to do things in an excellent way, but I often get stuck in that because I can never find enough. I can never feel like it's enough, it's good enough. And I feel like those are the gifts we have. When they are a little bit too much, they become a weakness. Weakness, would you say?
Totally agree. Totally agree. That is such a powerful piece. Is first, so first step is awareness. Second, would you say, is pause?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility and looking and going, yeah, that happened. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
make it today. I didn't get all the things on the list done. I didn't do it, right? You have to take responsibility. That's hard. And what often happens is we like to blame and justify. Oh, I didn't because
So
this.
true.
Oh, my husband interrupted me for 15 minutes. Oh, I had to go to the groceries. Like all of these stories. So I think taking responsibility, not resisting the urge to blame.
Yes. And the justification game is us getting back at these thoughts with like in the same sort of, so it's like it becomes like this monologue conversation where the thought is, oh, you didn't do it, you're a failure, and you go, but no, I was just I just this, that, and the other, and then you start to come up with this list of excuses. And I think when we pause, we have one of the things we have to realize is who we are is never based on what we do or what we produce. Who we are is already being defined, and we, when we have these conversations with lovely people, and when we, talk like in this podcast, we talk about our value and our worth, because it's so important that we know it and that we remember that. Um, because that is what I believe. Our identity gets so confronted by those thoughts.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if you didn't do something, what those thoughts would say to you is you're not enough.
Yeah.
But if you think the problem is not that you're not enough, is that you didn't do something.
Yep.
So I feel like it's when you identify the thought, and if the thought is discouraging you, then it's attacking your identity, it's attacking who you are. And this is where you and I pause and we say, well, who I am and my worth is not based on what I produce. I know I made a mistake, I didn't get it all done, but I'm still great, and I can do great things, and I will give it a go again, and I will do it better.
Yeah.
I've learned. I think that is also unlocking the learning side of things, because then you can actually learn from it. But if you just limit to bringing up the list of excuses, there is no learning.
Yeah.
And
it
would you say?
compounds. Yeah, it compounds as
Yeah.
well. It's often these. So when we justify something, because I used to do this because I used to be a people pleaser, I needed to have reasons and excuses and justifications, right? If something wasn't
Yeah.
working out. So when you give the reason and the justification, it feels good for a second because you've like appeased that little monster that was trying to like really say nasty things, right? So you've addressed it, you've gone, yeah, no, this is the reason. And you believe it, right? And you feel fine for a little bit, right? That situation
Yeah.
goes by. But then it comes up again. The next time you don't get it done,
Mm-hmm.
you make another excuse, but then you're starting to feel like a little bit like, oh, I've done it again. I said I wasn't going
Yeah.
to do it again. And I've done it. So, it like compounds and it compounds
Mm-hmm.
and it compounds until the point where you've built up so much BS in your life about who you are and what you are capable of that it's so hard to be vulnerable. It's so hard to just tell the truth. And then you just want to back away and and kind of seclude yourself because you're not getting it done and you're not good enough. But if you can just, when you move into this place of, I'm going to resist that urge to make a justification or an excuse, and I'm just going to be honest. There is so much freedom there, right? So much freedom.
Yeah.
And it's really liberating to go, I didn't make it. I'm going to take responsibility for that. And I'm going to resist the urge to make an excuse or to justify. And then the next piece we can grab hold of is, okay, let me ask a different question. Let me ask a better question. What can I do? What can I do differently next time? Am I getting my priorities in the right order, or do I need to look at reprioritizing the order that I do things in so that I get the most important things done first? And just thinking through those things, okay, what could I try next time? What can I do different?
So true. So true. I believe that what you're also saying is such a healthy relationship with ourselves. I believe that often we're very harsh and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I do this to me all the time, and I have to learn to get to know what my weaknesses are and what my strengths are, and remind myself of them, because then I can actually notice, oh, I didn't, I remember, okay, right. But that's okay, because you're great at other things and you value other things. And like when you're playing something with a team, when you're doing something with a team, we're all filled with different strengths and weaknesses, and we have to play to each other's strength to help one another. And I feel that with ourselves, we don't even know, because we keep making things up. We keep justifying, we keep hiding, we keep saying things that are not true. And when we start to navigate life that way, at the end of the day, we end up being very confused
Yeah.
and very lost. And I've seen that. I remember just with friends having a season where I felt like a lot of people, including myself, we just weren't showing up. And there was always an excuse. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing, perhaps, but I've definitely see it increasing more, that people are more kind of like, they have that tendency nowadays more to just say, oh, sorry, last minute something, this happened and that. And I feel like that is becoming more and more common, would you
Yeah.
say? Or is this just a UK
100%.
thing?
No, 100%. For years, I have been breaking up with the phrase, oh, I'm so busy. Anytime that is like it gets to the top of my tongue, I shut it down. If it does come out, I correct it because I hate that
Yeah.
phrase. I hate that phrase. And the reason I hate it is because of how I used to use it. And that, you show up to a group of friends and, oh, how are you? Oh, yeah, I've been so busy. As
Mm,
though
mm.
being busy gives me value, right? It's that
Wow.
piece around
Yeah,
value, and you don't have value because of what you do. You are value.
totally.
And noticing in myself, I don't even know how many years ago it was, but it's been a very long time that I've stopped saying this phrase because
Mm, mm.
it's just not helpful. There are times that life is, and this is the word I use instead, there are times that life is full. Life is
Mm-hmm.
full. And that's a gift. But I refuse to be busy because the person I'm becoming is someone who lives from a place of rest. And that means being focused and intentional
Yeah.
with my
Yeah.
work, with my life, with my rest, with my fun time, with the person that's in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
developing a new relationship with that, with my value, with who I am,
Yeah.
with my enoughness. And letting
Mm-hmm.
that, it's kind of been a bit of a social
Your
experiment.
enoughness. I like this. Your enoughness. I love it.
Enoughness. Yeah. When someone asks me, like, oh, what have you been up to? And if I've been in a really restful place and I've been reading, I'll say that. I
Yeah.
I spent the morning at the
Yeah.
beach, read half a book, went for a swim, ate some good food. That's it. And to hear the pin drop in moments like that when people are like, I don't know what to do with that because they're expecting, oh, I've been so busy and I'm doing this and da da da, and like exhausted off my face. Like there's value in that. People, I know so many people that love that they can say they don't have any time. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I don't have any time. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. And the kids and the husband and and my life
Yeah.
is chaos and I'm spinning up the world. And they're like really proud about it. I'm just like,
Mm.
honey, in
Honey,
the
listen,
next,
Linda.
listen,
Yeah.
Linda, like in the next breath, you're telling me that you're exhausted.
Mm.
In the next
Yeah.
breath, you're telling me about all of your health problems. Like, you're okay. You're enough. And that's what I want to cultivate in my relationships and with the people around me is to help them know they're enough just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Do you know our podcast name is Cultivating Clarity?
Mm.
And who would have thought that this could be such an interesting episode? Do you know,
Yeah.
to really talk about the thoughts we confront on a daily basis, the
Yeah.
ones that come up in the, I don't know how, but we just become so creative to make excuses. And it just talks about our capacity to be creative, doesn't it? But honestly, I always am shocked because that is just such a wrong way and such a bad go-to. It
Yeah.
just like we don't need to. And in reality, when we confront these things and when we're honest, it produces character, it produces maturity. We actually grow, we actually learn, and we're also build relationships that have depth. And
Yeah.
I feel like I need that in my life. And I believe so many that are listening are craving for deep, real relationships.
Yeah.
But it starts with ourselves. It starts with you and I being honest, being
Yeah.
vulnerable, first with ourselves and also with other people, having the courage to open up and say, actually, I'm not feeling great. Or actually, I'm quite content and I'm happy and I've rested. And just provoke those real conversations that don't have a script anymore,
Yeah.
you know?
I love that. That's so powerful. So let's recap. So I want the people that are listening to this to know, okay, be kind to myself. If I find myself spiraling, okay, then I know that's a cue. If I'm spiraling, if I'm saying mean things to myself that I wouldn't say to a
Mm,
friend, that's a cue. So
yeah.
pause, become aware of the thought. So yeah, I think pause is the first one. Pause, become aware of the
Hmm.
thoughts, take responsibility and own it. Yep,
Yeah.
I failed. Yep, I didn't make it. Yep, I didn't hit the thing. Love yourself. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Then we want to ask a better question, ask a different question. We want to interrupt that spiral. And we can do that by
Yeah.
asking a better question. Like, okay, failed at that. What did I do? What did I get done? We didn't talk about that earlier, but it's an important one. What did I do? Acknowledge what you did,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and ask, what can I do differently next time?
Yeah.
What can I do differently? And then once you've gone through that process, have the team chat, like you said, have the team chat. Good job, team. That was a hard one. We made it through. Really value your honesty. Keep going. You're great. You're great at the things that you're
Yeah.
doing. You're learning and getting better at the things that you're not great at yet. That's also awesome.
Mm,
Cool. And then just
yeah.
keep going. Don't bother with resetting. Don't bother with starting again, because mentally what that does is it takes you back to square one. So
Hmm.
don't bother about resetting. Don't bother about, okay, I'm going to just start over, fresh start. No, just keep going. Just keep
Yeah.
going. You're good.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Because, yeah, you can then, at the end of the little conversation, of the little war, you can just replace all of that with a positive, with that positive outcome
Mm,
that you did achieve, or with the positive of, I learned, and this is what I've learned. I've learned that I'm better, I don't know, in the mornings for cooking and in the evenings for reading. Who knows? I feel like I just spoke that to myself because I feel like that's the truth.
yeah.
But and I feel like that is just getting to know you. And
Yeah.
something that jumped out at me just as you were giving us all these steps was, imagine if we were able to cultivate relationships where we were able to do that with our friends.
Hmm.
Like, imagine if I was sitting with my friend having a cup of tea and I was able to invite him to that rhythm of, hey, let's pause. What are you going through? What's going on in your mind?
Yeah.
And then, right, where is it coming from? Cool. What did you learn?
Yeah.
Or what could you do different next time?
Yeah.
hey, I'm with you. I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. Like, I really feel like that could be a game changer for maybe a marriage out there that is in need of a deep chat, or maybe you're managing a team and you quite don't know, something's up, something. I remember when sometimes I would see a team member and I'm like, they're just not themselves. Something's going on. And you wish you had the language to help, right? You wish you had the language to kind of like contribute and help them. But now we do. Now we knew what to do. And if we practice with ourselves, I'm pretty sure we'll have plenty of opportunities out there to help some people out.
Yeah. I love it. So powerful. What a great chat. I'm so glad I turned up looking like a drowned rat. I don't know if my hair hasn't even dried like a smidge. Like it's gonna need some love before I go to bed for sure.
Oh, I'm so glad you turned up. I'm so glad we did it at the time we said we would,
Yeah.
regardless of the lack of earrings and half made eyebrows. I'm just so proud of you. And
Yeah, no makeup.
yeah, it's great. And thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable as well. And
Yeah. So good.
yeah, and to everybody that's listening, if you are going through something and you want to open up about, maybe a story or something that you've learned or took away from this session, just let us know. We'll put our emails and websites and links in the show notes, and we can connect.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on this episode of Cultivating Clarity. We hope you found some inspiration, a good laugh, or maybe a new perspective. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated with our latest episodes. If you are inspired to share this with a friend, do that. Definitely do that. Follow us on socials at Intentional Studios and the Freedom Collective for more fun insights. Links are in the show notes. And
if there is anything that you would like us to talk about in future episodes, let us know. We would love to spend some more time with you chatting next time. And until then, keep cultivating clarity, keep being intentional, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.